Alright, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do this video differently this time. I'm going to break it out into parts. And the first part is going to be an introduction on a couple of concepts. One of them is separating out functions. The next is going to be a while loop. The other one is a switch. The other part I'm going to do is but even before I get to that, I'll probably do an algorithm. I really want to get it. You really want to be able to write down on a piece of paper first what you want your program to do and then go forward, rather than just trying to figure out how to piece the codes together. So I'm going to do the algorithm. Actually, I should do the algorithm first. Then we're going to do, maybe in between, we're going to do the functions, the while loop, and the switch. And then the other part is I'm going to do the CSV reader. Because the CSV reader is actually pretty powerful. I mean, it's pretty good. I have to admit, it's like there's so much that you can do with it. So CSV reader, and then we'll get into the codes for the program. So the first part I want to do is the algorithm. Now this is the professor's stuff. It brings you to this. So when I open the program, I have a menu of four options. If I press 1, it's going to give me, it's going to give me that. Press 2, I do Monday. Or if I do this, then it gives me, no schedule found. Whatever it is that this program does. But the first thing I want to do is I want to build that algorithm to see what happens when. All right. And then the other thing too is at this point, if I press R, right, it says invalid entry. So all of that becomes part of our algorithm. So the first thing I want to do is I want to display in my algorithm, I want to display welcome, right? Then I want to give the user a list of options. I'm going to call that to do, right? That's the list of options, option 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I would imagine at this point I'm waiting on a user input. So, wait for user input. Now I have to check the user input. Is it a valid input? So if I do 3, that's a valid input. I could move forward. I could do something looking like this, and then it gives me that. So I have to check to see if I'm going to call that validate input. ID validate. I don't know if I spelled that right. Alright, validate input. Then if the input is good, then I can do something. If not, then I can then move forward. I could then say, well, invalid input. So if the input is good, I can move forward. And then I can, if the input is not good, I can say invalid input. So this is my basic, very basic algorithm right now. Eventually we'll get more into what move forward really means, right? And then ultimately comes back to display welcome and to do. And you'll see the purpose of the functions eventually, rather than having to type the same thing over and over again. One of the things, I am very lazy, so if I find that I have to do the same thing twice, chances are there's a way that I can make it easier for myself. So I will try to make it as easy as possible, at least on myself. So yeah, I think that's my basic algorithm as of right now. Move forward, now that's going to be different. That will in of itself has its own algorithm. Now that we've got a basic algorithm, I can then start a sample. I just started a sample project here. I'm going to do using namespace std input iostream. I want strings. I also want strings just in case. Alright. Now, we want to implement this basic algorithm. In order to do that, there are a couple of things, there are three things that we want to we want to look at. We want to look at functions, right? We want to look at while or a loop, and then we want to look at switch. Now you can use the if when you, let's say you don't like to use switch, you can probably use if. I mean, we'll still use if anyways because we have to check to see if something is true or false. So if is going to be basically true or false. Alright. Now, the first thing in our algorithm is to display a welcome message, right? And then eventually, after the user enters something and performs whatever operation they had, I want to come back to that welcome message. Now I could type the welcome message over and over again in here, or I can build a function. So I'm going to say void welcome, alright, and I'm going to build that function down here. Welcome. Alright, the other thing is I want you to keep track of these curly brackets, because if you miss one, chances are you're screwed. It's gonna be it's gonna be hard to fix. I mean, not that it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be horrible to have to go through looking to see where you missed the bracket. So I just like to make sure that I have some space in between that I can keep track of my brackets. You open a bracket, you have to close a bracket. Simple. Alright, so here I'm going to call it in this program he has a couple of equal signs. Then I'm going to call it welcome to scheduler. And actually, you know what? I should end that on the other one too. Oh, see, I already made a mistake right here. I didn't close here. I have to put that, right? So I already made a mistake right there. Alright. Here I'm going to call it another dash. Okay. I mean, one way you could do is probably just call it dash and then just call dash and then that's it, rather than having to call everything over again. Anyways. Alright, so that's my welcome. That's the first part. So if I run this program, it should compile. And oh, actually, now I want to call welcome. So it compiles and it runs, no errors. Now I want to call the welcome message. That is, I want to execute this function. I'm just going to do this, and that's it. And what this is going to do is that whatever is in this code here is just going to run it. That's it. You're calling that function. It has no parameters, it has nothing. We'll get the parameters eventually. So here you see, welcome to Surendra's scheduler. That's what I wanted. Excellent. That function works. Now, notice that all the program did was call that function and then it exited. Of course, I don't want it to exit. I want it to call that function again until something happens, until the user has entered something. And that's where the while loop will come in. Alright, my next function that I'm going to build is a to-do. because I don't want to type. The reason I'm doing it this way is that I don't want to have to type these options all over and over again. Alright? So if I make them into functions, then I could just call them with just a single line of code rather than having 5 different lines of codes over and over again. To do. Alright, let's see here. We'll do it. Oh, and notice I'm putting them up here first, right? There's a reason. You're declaring them up before main. It allows you because it'll go line by line, right? If I don't have this line here, right? This line won't execute. At least I think that's how it works. All right, so I'm gonna do a void to do. Oops. And again, just keep track of your brackets. I need to put this up here. Oh, actually, you know what? Just to show you what happens, I'm just going to do it without putting it at the top first. That way you'll see, well, it wouldn't work. So I want to count 1. See all schedules. Schedules. And okay. 2 CD. I'm just gonna do this real day and activity and then 3 and then exit X. Okay, notice this X. So this X is gonna screw me a little bit, but there might be a way I could fix. I could not have to do some amount of codes, but I'm doing this on the fly as we go. So please, if like, you know, I mean, if there's something that you don't agree with or you think that there's a better way you can do it, by all means feel free to do it that way. I'm just doing it on the fly at the moment. Alright, so that, and remember I said, so I'm calling to do in the same way I called welcome. Now notice I don't have the to do I don't have the to do defined up here, right? So it should give me a compilation error. You see here? To do was not declared in the scope. That is because I need to put it up here first. So I want to break it first and then fix it. That way at least you have an appreciation as to why it's there. Oh, void. Actually, no. Damn it. Void. Missed it. See? Make the mistake and then you fix it. Alright. So now it compiles. So here, see? It gives me my welcome. It gives me my list of things to do. But then it exits the program right after. I don't want it to exit the program. I want it to continue doing this until the user hits X. So that brings me to my while loop. While 1. Now, you can do while whatever. So it could be while of some variable. You can. It's basically a check. You're checking something in between here, and then when you check it, if that is true, you still continue doing it. It's like a loop. It's basically a loop. You keep doing it until you're able to come out of that loop. So, you know, Professor talks about base case. That's pretty much your base case, right? Now I want these functions to be inside of my while loop. Alright. Okay, so here let's build this. It should give me a function that is probably going to just keep recurring itself over and over again. See? Because it's now waiting for an entry from the user. Alright, good. Because it just keeps repeating over and over again. So far, I've done my welcome on my algorithm. I've done the to do. So now I have to wait for the user's input. So here, count, choose option. I'm just gonna like do this real quickly. That, and then send. Now I have to send into something. Now this is what I was saying earlier, right? This X throws me off. If it was 0, I could declare the sim as an int. But because I'm giving the user an option to enter a character of some kind, it means I have to facilitate numbers and letters. So I know you can use character, but I'm going to use string. Only because I'm thinking to myself, okay, what if the user, what if I want to enter, what if my options then become double digits, right? So string, let's call this entry. Okay, so I'm going to send entry, right? So here, so build, boom, 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 that. So this runs. It says choose option. So now you see it comes out. It doesn't have that. Change it to 0. Anyway, as of right now, it doesn't really matter. So here, and then you see it just keeps going back. So this is my while loop. This is what I want, right? Every single time until the user hits X, it's not gonna exit. All right. So let's do this. Let's put space there, and I want to change this back to X. Okay. Now, here, send X. Now, I need to check to see whether the user enters. I need to validate the user entry. So I have wait for user input. Now I'm going to validate the user entry. I'm going to do if int equals X. I could do lower or upper, but or and equals, notice I use double equal, right? Not single. X. This is what's going to take us out of our while loop break. So whenever you have a while loop and you want to come out of that loop, you break it. Same thing with the switch, which we'll see later on. And remember, I'm saying, so far, let's see, what did we do? We did functions, we did the welcome, and we did the to do. We did the while loop, and we're now putting the if, true or false. So if this is true, do this. If not, then it'll just continue in the loop, basically. So let's see. 1, it is not true, so it's just going to continue the loop. 2, not true. 3, not true. 4, 5, 6. C, not true. D, not true. X, true. So it exits, right? It breaks because this condition has been met. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this as an int switch option, right? I want to do int switch option. So now if that is that, else, again, just keep make sure you're within these curly brackets, because otherwise you're screwed. Else else I want this to string. Actually, let me open my code, because some of these things are already there. Projects, scheduler, SCP. There's all this with Notepad. You don't have to worry about this part. I need this. Okay, equal ATOI this. So this. I need this part. Else as the pt is equal to this. Okay, so now what this is doing, right, is that it is converting this string input to an integer input, right? Nothing. I could probably do that above and then check to see if it's 0. But then if the person enters like some, I don't know, G or Tim or something, then it'll more than likely exit anyways. So here, let's just break it down this way. Alright. So this allows me to get the user input as an integer. And in switch, you can really only use integers. So how does the switch work? So switch works like this. I'm going to switch as the OPT, the switch option, and then I'm going to do case 1. Actually, I should break case 2 and then break case 3 and then break. Okay, so the break basically brings us out of the case loop, out of that case. So switch and case, these two work hand in hand. So notice again, notice where my curly braces are. Where did this one end? See, where did this one end? Oh man, oh here. Okay, there we go. So we're good. Everything is within that. Alright, case 1 basically is like, okay, if this number, if this whatever I converted to an int here, if this number is 1, then perform this action. Okay, so I'm going to just do a little code. Also, if you want to know where you are in your program, Cout is very good at doing that. You want to know which part of your program your code is in, or which part is being executed, you could always just Cout it, right? Cout I am at case 1. Just end it. Okay. I'm at case 1. Notice I'm before the break, right? Because at the break, that's when you exit that case and then you go back to the while loop, right? Okay. Case 1, case 2, case 3. Case 1, 2, 3. There's also what's called a default case, but I'll show you that. I want to restrict a couple of things. Keep my code pretty tight. So, well, I mean, it's not, it's going to be loose anyways, but we'll see how this goes. Alright, so I'm at case 1, case 2, just so I know where I am. Alright, case 3, and then it breaks, it should go back to the while loop, and then and that should bring me back out of my while loop. Alright, so let's build this. Let's run this. ATOI. Oh, here, ENT. This needs to be this. Because I was using a different variable for that. ATOI. I must have to import a library of some kind. C type. I think this is it. No? What the heck? C string. ATOI. Huh. Okay, file string, that shouldn't be a problem. That should be a problem. Why is ATOI? Do I have something in schedule or strings that fixes that? Okay, so this is good. I mean, it's not great. I got an error, but ATOI int that string. This is good only because I could show you how to fix your problems. Just gonna paste this error here. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Let's go to this. Let's see what's wrong with the program. It is something like blah blah blah. I like Stack Overflow. Include this. Let's see. Make it include this one. Maybe I have it included in one of the other ones before. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So stdlib. So in order to get that to run, I need this. Okay. See? Even I make mistakes. A lot of mistakes, but it's good when you make mistakes. You can then fix it, right? Alright, so if I do X, it should exit the program. If I'm just going to run it back again. If I do 1, it should call I am at case 1. Right? If I do 2, I am at case 2. If I do 3, I am at case 3. Now what happens when I press 4? Nothing, 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 nothing. Right? D, nothing, none of these, nothing. It just keeps going back. So that's where the invalid entry is going to come in eventually, and then it's just going to come back to your welcome message. All right. So we did while loop, we did functions, and we did case switch. That's that. Now the other part is that's the first. That's two parts. I already did 2 parts here. I did the algorithm. I did the while case and switch, while case, switch case, and if, and then I'm going to do, let's see, I did if and if statements. Okay, those are our basic things that we will need in order to build this program. The other part is I'm going to implement the CSV reader in this video. Alright, let's see. So for CSV reader, I need the CSV reader and I need the schedules. At least those 2 for now. I think those 2 for now. Let's go back to where I was here. Stop the project. Should I put this there? Okay, so I'm going to do add the project. I am going to add csvreader.h. And that's how you add to CSV reader. Now, I'm just going to copy. I did CSV reader as a separate function. Remember we talked about these functions before, right? So what I did is I did CSV reader as a separate function only because I have to call, I call it more than once. So if I'm going to do the same thing more than once, you're better off building it as a function rather than having to type the same thing in this function over and over again. Alright, so let's see, where did I do CSV reader? Disregard all of this other crap. Don't worry about it. I need loads. Let's do load void load CSV. Let's do this. Void load CSV. Alright, void load CSV. That. Now I gotta build this function. Remember what happened when we just built it and we didn't add it at the top, right? With the to do. Remember that, you know? Alright. Let's see. So my first thing is I'm going to do this. I'm going to do CSV Reader, temp CSV Reader, schedules. So how does this work? Alright. This is creating an instance of CSV Reader, calling it this, right? It's creating one of these, calling it this. This is the file name, right? This is the file name because this CSV Reader requires two parameters. It requires your file name and it requires your delimiter. Basically, a delimiter, I mean, if you use Excel and you use all the, if you use CSV, you can either have a fixed width or you can have a delimiter. In this case, this is what separates one field from the next. That is, if we open schedules, right? If we open schedules here, what's this? I want schedules.csv. What's this? Schedules.csv. Here we go. See here, that's my delimiter. That's gonna separate one column to the next. So this has 3 columns and a whole lot of different rows. See here, it separates Monday from this. So all of this is going to be taken as a single column because of the comma. Alright? That's how it's going to separate. Alright. So that's that. That's my delimiter. That. I don't need both of these open. Okay. Vector.schedules clear. I'm not going to use this for now. I'm not going to use this either. I am going to use this though. So here. Now remember what I was telling you about these curly brackets? See, if I build this right now, it's going to give me an error. See? See? Oh wait. See? Not declared in scope. Temp CSV Reader. Not declared in CSV Reader. Temp CSV Reader. I probably have to declare this. It's more than one errors. CSV Reader. Temp CSV Reader. Schedules. That. I am. Oh wait. I think I know why. I'm supposed to include CSV Reader. Okay, I didn't include CSV Reader. Include CSV Reader.h. CSV Reader.h. Okay. So this is going to give me a couple more errors, but this one should fix this because I didn't include the CSV Reader, so I didn't really know that. Remember, that's what the error was. So here, this compiler error, these error messages, they're your friends. So here it's saying that I'm missing a curly bracket, and as you can see, this one here doesn't have a closing because this is taking up that closing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it. So now I should be fine. Okay. So that's CSV Reader. So now this is just going to loop through the entire CSV Reader, and then it's going to do something. So what do I want? Here I'm starting at, so my first row is 0 in schedules here. So my first row, this is row 0 from day. Damn it. That's row 0, that's row 1, that's row 2, row 3, etc., etc. I'm going to just start from row 1 only because I want to ignore the first one as a header, as a heading. That. Now there are a number of functions in CSV Reader. Okay? Well, actually, let's open CSV Reader and see what some of those functions are. So here you have CSV Reader. This is what these are the two parameters you have to pass the CSV Reader when you're declaring it, right? Vector, you can get the entire vector as you can add the entire row as a vector of strings, which is what we will do. So I'm gonna just do vector string row vec Okay, and so there are a number of other things that you can do within here. So each one of these you can call. For example, you can call get row count, which is what this is doing. So get row count is going to return the number of rows in there. Column count, print row. I guess you could just print row. I mean, you know, print row. Just print whatever is in that row. Then I don't have to. Actually, I could probably do that. For int row, then I could just print row. Temp tmp. Just copy and paste. Then that way I don't have to do a vector. Although I'm gonna do the vector anyways because it should be the same thing. Dot print row. I row. And it's not. I'm not just typing row only because I'm declaring row here. And it's going to just print the first row, that's basically the second row because you're starting at 1. That. Now, here, I'm going to say if you press 1, right? If you press 1, I want you to load CSV Reader. So, here. Excuse me. So if I do this, press 1, see? And it just prints everything as the row. See that? Alright. Prints, And that's how you deal with that's how you deal with the CSV Reader. You load the CSV reader, you create this with the CSV Reader, telling it where to go. Oh, you have to import here first, right? Because you saw I had an error earlier. Create this, point it to schedules, whatever the CSV file is. This could be any CSV file, whatever CSV file you have in the folder. And then for each row in that CSV file, do this thing. So now if I wanted to do a vector of rows, then I can do row vec dot pushback temp CSV copy and paste dot temp CSV dot no, I don't need this. It could be row. Hold on. It could actually be row. Let me see if this is gonna be good. And that, push back the row, and then I do row, push back, and then I want to print. And I'm gonna do for int vec equals 0 row vec dot size. Let's go get the size of the vector. Row size vec it should be vec less than row size, and then that vec plus plus. Okay, vec, because I can't print count vec count this, because here now I could separate what I want. So 0, count the first one, and okay. I'm going to take this out for now because I don't want to do that. Ooh. Hold on, there's something wrong here. Let's see. Push back S, because I'm pushing back this, but I want to push back. TMC as reader, that get row as vector. Let me see. TMC as reader. That get row as vector. Int row. Okay, let's see. Damn it. Vector, push back. I thought I did this somewhere. Where? Hello, header. Hold on. Why don't I have a stupid thing? Row. Huh. What am I doing wrong here? No matching. Man, I'm sure somebody else would realize what I'm doing wrong. Can I just do this then? Catch row as vector. Doesn't make any sense. Get row as vector, temp, get row. Get so as string intact column vector. Get cell as string. And I'm just going to do one by one. Damn it. Row column 0. So. Okay, I see what I'm doing now. Alright, so I'm just going to get each cell and push back each one as a whatchamacallit, as a string. So I gotta do 1. How many columns are there? 4, so it should be 3. 2, 3. So I'm creating a vector of whatever's inside for each as a string. Okay, alright, sounds good. So let's see here. This is just gonna do Monday. They're all Mondays. Oh my gosh. So, can you see? There are a lot of problems. Let's see what else is in these things. Trial and error, buddy. Trial and error. This is what happens when I build it from scratch. Once I build it, I can explain it to you. But if I'm building it from scratch, then this is what happens. This is what I have to go through whenever I'm doing these programs. So it's just basically doing one freaking thing over and over again. For each row size, row vector size. Alright. My point is that I was trying to do with this without having to go into building a vector of time and vector of this and vector of that, is really to say that you can play around with your CSV reader to determine where you are, what you're getting and what you're putting where. I'm trying to see how the heck I have to figure out what I'll have to go through this and then figure out and figure how to actually display what I want, because I wanted to display the rows, like I wanted to print the row in the same way that this one did. Get cell string row that push back, boom, 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 push back there, push back there. Row your boat gently down the stream. Yeah, alright, I'm gonna give up on this for now. Not worth my time to deal with this right now. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna comment it out, and I'm just gonna say that you can use CSV Reader to read the files, read the CSV file, and then create whatever you want to create. Of course, you'll come up with errors, and then you gotta figure out where the errors are, and then try to see how you can push the data the way you want, you know, how you want it. Yeah, I hate having errors, man. Let me see. I hate it when the program doesn't work the way I want it to work. Here you're creating that. That's a vector of time. I'm not even going to get into that right now. That. Activity. That's the activity. That's the day. That's the activity. And then you're pushing back into this. Ooh, wait a minute. Can I push back multiple? This. I don't think I could do this though. No, I don't think I could do that. Back to that pushback, so you're pushing this one. Row that. So I'm getting the first row, first column. Then I'm going to get the second row, first row, first column. I'm pushing back all of those, but it's doing it in I see why. I see why. Code that. Whereas if I do vec here, let me see. What happens? I like to understand where my data is. I'm sorry. Oh, clean build. Exit this. Okay, here we go. It does a lot of other crap. Vector. Monday brainstorming. Is there anything else in here? No. You know what I could do though? I could count it in here. What I can do is I can count it in here, right? And then clear it here. Clear. Let's see what this. Let's see what happens here. 0, 1, 2. I mean they're true, but okay, there we go. This actually works. This actually does what I wanted to do. But my point is here, right? You gotta figure out what you want, buddy. Figure out what you want and then try to find it. An extra bracket, I don't need that. Damn it. Screw my brackets up there. Tree. Oh, come on, man. See what I'm telling you about these brackets? You just gotta be careful with them. Ah, here we go. So, let's see. Printing all of these guys. Boom, 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 boom. Monday, let's see if it corresponds with what I have here. Monday. That to that, brainstorming. Tuesday, 10:40 to that, programming. See, it corresponds. Excuse me. Tutoring. Okay, so that works. It does what I wanted to do, and that's all I'm going to do on this part of the program. So to recap, I know it got a little boring. It might have gotten a little boring at the end. But I did what I wanted to do in this video. We did the algorithm. We did the functions. Right? We did these functions. We did the while loop. Right? To get this stuff to work. And then we did the switch. We did the if. So I think I'm going to stop there for now. And we did the CSV reader actually, only because I wanted to make sure that the CSV, that you can get the CSV reader to work, because it is very, very good if you can play around with it the same way. See, I don't even know. I don't even know. I just got to figure out where my data is and what's happening to it. I'm still new to it, and so that's how, if I did this, when I did this part of the code, it didn't work. But when I did the other part, when I moved everything into this for loop and cleared the vector and then moved on again, it works, right? So it does what I wanted to do. And this is actually pretty good too, because then it does, then I'm just doing a single row, a vector with a single row vector basically, rather than, filling up my memory with 1,000 vectors, if that's how much you end up having in the CSV file. Alright, so that's that. Hopefully these concepts help to understand the next part of the video, or the next part.